check raises us 45% of the time definitely check raises us wider than most. But that doesn't mean that they check raises us 45% on all boards. And we can definitely use population tendencies to make assumptions about what type of boards we're actually more likely to get check raised lighter on or not so light. The other one I added, just because I definitely advocate a decent amount of limping, is, and don't mind it if my opponent limps versus me, because I think they play so poorly in limp pots, is the limp c-bet percentage. It's pretty much the same. It's the same as the flop c-bet percentage. I think they tend to play kind of similarly, but they have a weaker range, so it's actually a decent opportunity to be check raise bluffing as well. Post flop, fold versus flop c-bet percentage 40%. So, with that percentage, again, it's average of all situations, but generally c-betting most boards with just about anything versus fish is going to be profitable. We'll discuss the math behind that in just a second. When they do call, though, they're just not folding to turn c-bets very much, which isn't really surprising, though, because when fish decide to continue in a hand, if they call with a draw or something, or if they call with a pair, they're going to try to improve. And then on the river, they don't like to call a limp, so it's not so surprising to see that they're actually folding to a river shove 50% of the time, which is going to lead to our maximally exploitative c-bet and barreling strategy versus fish to generally be to c-bet a ton and then make a decision on the turn of how we're going to continue. Usually our strategy is not going to be so much to two-barrel the turn and then give up rivers, because we actually don't expect to get a whole lot of turn folds from fish. Again, it's board dependent, but it's generally true. But because when they do call the flop, they're calling the turn relatively light, it actually allows us to barrel rivers because they have a pretty weak range. So our maximally exploitative strategy is c-bet a lot and then have a plan on the turn for either giving up or playing two streets and barreling a lot of rivers. So definitely being active versus fish. I think it's a mistake to assume that just because you're playing a fish that they're automatically this huge station that's going to call off three barrels with fourth pair. I definitely find that to be an exaggeration most of the time people say that. I mean, not always, of course, but a lot of times. Also, their fold versus limp c-bet percentage is 50%, so 10% higher than their flop c-bet percentage, just making limping even more profitable and something that we definitely want to start doing if we have any inclination that our opponent's going to allow it more than most. We do have our standard limping ranges, which we reviewed yesterday. We also talked about possibly limping the hands that would otherwise fold pre-flop because fish do play so bad in limped pots. So those are the population tendencies, and now I want to go ahead and pause for questions. So let me know if you